Hey, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Well, we're live, everybody. This is the first time Scott and I have talked to each other in days.
Yes,
we talked. Well, we talked. You called me last week. What'd you call me about? You called me about if I was
the
watching
boys.
the boys. Yes,
Yes,
yes. And
the boys.
the boys have been really good.
The boys. The boys.
The
Yeah,
new
the
episode
boys, and
tomorrow.
then Game of Thrones too. I really enjoyed, so we'll get into that too.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
Or House of the Dragon.
Yeah, it's what was that? There was this cartoon back in the '80s, and it was Flight of Dragons. Every time I hear House of Dragon, I keep thinking Flight of Dragons. So I don't know why.
Mhm.
And that stuff. But yeah, so hey, let's kick things off. Let me know when you're ready, and you can jump into your spiel.
All right. Well, you know the spiel. I say it every week. It's Team Titans. That's us. Right there. It's hard to point when you're
Right over
reversed.
there. You see it?
There we are. Luckily, I'm better at real estate than I am at pointing.
I'm not touching you.
but yeah, we're in the middle of real estate season here. Uh,
For all of
F-
your real estate needs.
oh,
Yeah.
put in there. Oh, but anyways, we're in the middle of a busy time for real estate. We've been just back to back to back appointments. It's going very well for us. A lot of listings, a lot of offers being made, and we got a bunch more list successful appointments this week. So just excited to unveil those in the coming weeks as after we get the photos. So a sneak preview, if you know, like one that I want to point out. 36 acres coming up, a beautiful house out in Ira Township, 36 acres. It's agricultural land, so if you want to grow soybeans and things like that, you can do that on it. If not, it's a beautiful lot just for you to enjoy and build your different structures on and make a little compound if you want. But that'll be coming up as well. But anyways, how you negotiate matters. Who you use matters. Where a lot of people want to try to boil real estate down to whoever is the cheapest. And if you treat your realtor that way, your process of choosing a realtor that way, you're going to get what you pay for. That's just a fact. Or you can choose to hire a realtor that is more than just an expense for you, but rather an investment where we market your property. We had a house that went live this last week. Over the weekend, Friday alone, we had 64 showings on it. It was wall-to-wall showings, tons of offers. We ended up, I can't reveal how much above until the property closes, but well above what the seller even dreamed they could have gotten for the property. So it's all part of our plan and how we market you and get you out there. We don't just stick a sign in the yard and let everyone else sell the property. We really promote you. So give us a call, 586-232-5144. And Jill and I are looking forward to help you.
That's like I told people, and this is not in the real estate game. It was in our other game of Comic Cons. Is people that try to save $1 end up losing tens of dollars, and that's what I saw. And it had to do not with the selling a product, but with how the person was running the show, and there's some of the policy to trying to save themselves, money. It makes more money for themselves. And I said, realistically, you're losing a lot more out the door than just this little bit here by your policies. Now, they may not ever be seeing it. I see it on a different level.
Well, here's a great example. This one that we just did, especially with older, with senior citizens, when their house is getting ready to go up on the market, we hear so often people will come out of the woodwork. Oh, don't use a realtor. Just sell it direct to me so you don't have to pay any costs. You're going to save a ton of money. And this person, this client was approached, same type of offers. And in her head, it sounded like a great deal. Thankfully, she chose to use us. The amount of money we brought in not only paid for all of her closing costs, our commissions, she still subtract all that out. She still made well over $10,000 more than what this cash offer was that would save her money. So when you get good realtors, they are an investment. They multiple their efforts will multiply what you get. So
Yeah, they're working for you, not
Yeah.
against you. So
We'll hear it where people did it where they decided to save money, and so many times we see it where they're patting themselves on the back, like, yeah, I showed them, I didn't have to pay them, and we're looking at what they ended up selling for, and we're like, you would have got so much more. You think you saved money, but you didn't.
yep.
So we see it all the time, but if you treat it as an expense, it's going to be an expense.
Exactly. So I was gonna share something real quick here. Let me get rid of this one little thing here. This is non-paid. I'm not being promoted to pay it or anything. The shirt I'm wearing today says baseball is the best. It's an ALS shirt. So Lou Gehrig's disease, as people know it. I got it from the site called RotoWare. I'm not going to put a link in because we're not being paid and all that stuff, but you can Google it and find it easily. But the reason that I went with this shirt was Sarah Lang was she still was a ESPN reporter for baseball, knows her baseball, and she's young, and she came down with ALS. They had her on a few weeks ago during Lou Gehrig week, and I saw the shirt, and I immediately ordered a shirt because I thought it was really cool. And they're getting proceeds towards the study of ALS. So if you've not looked into that, look up Sarah Lang, SARAHLANGE. You can see a little bit about her. She opened up about a year ago now about her ALS diagnosis, and she was only 28 when she was diagnosed. Yeah. So it's a disease that doesn't get talked about enough, but definitely is something that's out there quite a bit. And I'm not sure how it affects people, but it seems to me that it affects a lot more athletes or athletic people than others. And I'm not saying that other people don't get it, but that's usually the ones I used to hear about are people that are involved in, they were a runner, or they could have been in a professional sports or had a sports background. And so not sure what comes into that. So, but definitely something to check out, Google on that stuff. So I just thought I'd share that for a minute. So
very interesting. Well, and keeping with the theme of baseball, Willie Mays just passed away. He was 93.
Yeah, that was the next thing I wanted to mention. That so one of the great breakout stars came over from the Negro Leagues early on. I had just read something yesterday morning about him, talking about his when he first came up. He was not hitting well. That when he was playing center field, doing great, and was basically saying, I just can't hit these basically ball players. What was saying, and then it manager or whatever told him, say, do this and this, and then he started hitting. And that kind of changed his whole game. He had to look at the game a little different because going from one type of league to another definitely was a change on that. But the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, he was a great ambassador of baseball. He's been popping up on everything forever. He was always at much of the All-Star games, World Series. They'd always talk about him. He would still get around. He had just announced also yesterday that he wasn't going to the game tomorrow in Alabama at the Negro League Stadium, and then he passed. So obviously he was not doing well. I mean, 93 years old. I mean, it's not a young guy, but I think he kind of knew his time was coming and that. But definitely a great ambassador of sportsmanship and baseball.
So. For sure. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Well, work. Always work. And I did go see, and I can talk about that, Inside Out 2 last night.
Yep.
Really enjoyed that. I'll get into that in a minute here. Watched The Boys last week. The Boys was really good. Definitely not safe for work. We say this every time, do not take your kids to go or watch with your kids the show without realizing that they're going to see some things you don't want them to see a lot.
my thing is that there are some shows out there that rely on shock value to be good, to keep their audience engaged. But I truly think the storyline is just so good, and I love where they're going with Homelander on this. But we'll talk about that later. But it's so nice to see good writing again, and we don't get that much.
And real quick, speaking of bad writing, I did watch The Acolyte this morning. And it ended where it feels like it should have started for the episode. So I mean, the hanger of this one for next, like, okay, great. There's still the guy from Good Place. I see a lot of speculation. They think he's the Sith. I think he's being manipulated. I think he's another apprentice. I don't think he's the main bad guy, but he could be, because they're sending some in this episode that was. It's just stupid writing. Just dialogue's bad. The reasoning had everything's bad. This whole, how they were going back to go to the council. It's not the high council. It's this different group of people that's a council, and they're like, "Well, we can't take this to the high council because they won't like it." I'm like,
a
"Okay,
sub-council."
so you guys are hiding everything from the high council,
the not so high council.
I'm like, okay, so it's like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. If there's this big threat going on, why wouldn't the high council who governs everything be made aware? So I'm just it's again does not it's not even just the fact that it doesn't feel Star Warsy on so much of the stuff. It's just really bad writing, just not good storytelling. And that's the problem I have with it still. So I said I watched it once. I won't watch them again. Each episode, I'll continue watching. Let you know if it does get better. I think there's 4 episodes left or something like that. I think it's 8 total in that, and it's just not good. I mean, even everything I'm seeing pop up, articles from the last week's episode. People that were hoping for this great gay storyline. Even those people that were wanting are saying this is garbage. I mean, it's just, I personally just want good stories. I mean, everything. That's all I want is a good story.
Yeah.
That's what I got with The Boys last week. That was a good story. That's what I got last night watching Inside Out. It was a good story.
Yeah.
I've been watching Black Sails. I'm on season 4 now. There's 4 seasons. It's a fun story. It's a good story. Taking factual pirates with, fictional pirates and mixing this great story.
Yeah.
In this historical fictional setting.
Well, for me, I have to say, this week's viewing of The Acolyte was my most enjoyable experience because I didn't watch it. We don't care about spoilers for Acolyte, right?
Well, here's the stupid part about it. It starts off, they're back at they're already back at Coruscant. You got Coruscant, and then they showed the Wookiee.
Mm-hmm.
And he's his thing there. You got May, who with the guy lands on the world there to go find him, and the guy's telling her, "Oh yeah, bounty hunters won't even come here. Tough and rough bounty hunters that are afraid anything won't come here." But he's been there. She's questioned him on this stuff, and it's a long hike to go where he's at. And so they cut back and forth a couple of times. You got May back at the thing. She's talking to the one Padawan with the little horns on her head, and oh yeah, I'm leaving and that stuff. And of course, I read a couple articles. They're kind of insinuating something between the two, but they're not. And then the one guy I mentioned last week from Forbes said, "Why can't they just be friends? It doesn't always have to be something." He's commenting about other people's posts, not the actual show. And he saw this episode early and watched it again yesterday with his article. So he's commenting about that. And I'm like, why can't they be friends? I mean, they would have kind of known each other probably at one point. But
friends not allowed anymore.
Yeah, it has to be a relationship. Yeah. But but their whole dialogue was just stupid.
Right.
I mean, really was. Yeah, I don't want to talk to you about this. I'm going to leave, and then, but maybe someday we'll get together, and meet at a cantina, and we'll swap stories about Master Lowe or whatever the hell his name is. The main guy. And then, of course, that's when you get that stupid council meeting. Then they don't want to tell the high council, but they're going to send him off with a bunch of, the different people, and they're going to go to the Wookiee to try to save him, knowing that's where she's going.
Which, if they didn't force him to come to the meeting and they just did a Zoom call instead, they could have been to the Wookiee.
Exactly. And that plays in this whole part. Because then also you got the whole march of May and the other dummy walk through the thing, and they're complaining. She goes, "I got to sit down." And he's questioning about killing without a weapon and all this other stuff, which is the dumbest thing they've had in this whole thing too. It's like, why would you not kill with a weapon? How's she going to kill otherwise? So, and then so she sits down. And so she's tired. They're going to rush before she goes in and confronts this Wookiee. And then out of nowhere, she stands up. "I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to turn myself in. And I'm going to." And then he's like, "Well, the master's going to kill you." And she goes, "No, he won't find me. And I've already revealed all his secrets before that." Well, then you got the Jedi landing there, and they're heading through.
What secret? She doesn't know anything.
I know. And of course, Osha now also on this planet.
Osha.
Yeah, that's the other sister.
Oshi.
No, it's Osha.
I thought it was Oshi.
No, it's OSHA, in occupational safety hazard. Yeah. So it's OSHA and May. And OSHA touches this thing on a tree. It comes alive. She hollers for the Jedi, the main Jedi guy from Squid Games. I don't even remember their names. Kills this bug. She's starting to get her force powers back all of a sudden, because she's probably being around them. That would maybe I'll give that maybe happened, but she's sensing stuff, and then she's a little bummed. She's mad that this creature had to get killed. It was just a surprise, and she surprised it, and so she's mad at herself. And so they get up there to go where the base of the Wookiee lives, and then they hear something, and May's already gotten there. She's already inside. She goes in there. The Wookiee's dead. He's got a lightsaber thing across him.
Right.
Never saw a battle, of course.
Right. We've been dying for a live action Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah.
We've been wanting this. They finally give it, and what do?
Nothing. He does nothing.
And I saw an article that says shocking death. I go, let me guess, they killed the Wookiee already.
Yep.
Sure enough. And it wasn't shocking.
Yeah. He knew it was coming. And of course, so the Jedi are outside, basically wanting to get her to come out without really know they know she's there, but they sense her. Then they hear something. Osha's back a ways. Behind her is this dark figure. Well, it's the evil whatever. Walks right up to her, and then actually blows all the Jedi back with his force powers, because he's got unbelievable power, can knock 10 Jedi all the way back.
And the guy from Good Place is nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen yet.
Okay.
So if it is him, I mean, he
did like a Superman change.
Yeah, well, they both had backpacks with stuff they were hauling, so I'm sure he could have had the costume in there. But if it ends up being him, I'm like, that's just the dumbest reveal ever. It's as bad as the whole Snoke thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he lights up his lightsaber, and what was it? He lights up the lightsaber, knocks Osha to the side, then blasts all the Jedi, and then the episode ends. So now we're going to come back, and it's probably going to do like a stupid time jump somewhere.
Yeah.
And then we'll get a reveal of what happened.
So our great introduction of a live action Jedi Wookiee included like 4 grunts between 4 episodes, and a death scene. You don't even see the battle or anything.
And he's sitting in the chair. He's sitting in a chair like this. And he's got
right. And you don't even see him hurl somebody, rip an arm off. Come on, it's a Wookiee.
Yeah. No, we should have seen him whip out a lightsaber and take on whoever he takes on. He could have lost still, but
but give us some action.
There's no way a Wookiee, even a non-Jedi Wookiee, would not have sensed something else there.
Yeah, between the force powers and then his heightened sense of smell and everything else, he'd be a very formidable opponent. And but little so that was Oshi or May.
So far out of 4 episodes, we've got maybe a half hour of relevant story total out of this. I'm thinking by the end of this entire story, this whole story can be told in less than 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And would have probably felt more compelling to tighten up some and get rid of a bunch of the garbage, because they're not telling any good story here.
Yeah.
And of course, starting to see this stuff. Well, if you don't like it, then you're the problem crap. I'm like, no, don't like it. I'm seeing people that would really want to like it that are not liking it.
I want to like it.
And it's people that want to like it. And it's people, when I say about really want to like it, it's really want to like it for reasons that Scott and I don't like some things.
They're just looking for the agenda to be pushed.
Yeah, they want some agenda stuff, but even that they don't like. But when it comes to story, they don't like. And it's like, okay, there's not pleasing anybody here. So
yeah, it's a cancer in Hollywood right now, this whole line of thinking. Even right now, they just announced the upcoming Predator movie, who's going to be the main role. Oh, what do you know? Another female lead is going to be taking on the Predator. Nobody wants that crap. We're tired of it. Yes, it was cool in the 80s because it was so rare, and we love underdog stories. And when you play a strong female character correctly, it's a great underdog story, and you're cheering for her. But you still got to do the writing, and you got to give her the proper storyline to make it work. You can't just shoehorn a female in and just say, well, because she's a woman, she can do everything. It doesn't work. And now you're people, for some reason, the Predator franchise can't understand what made the first one work. Yeah. They keep trying everything else except what made the first one work.
Well, the Predator worked. The first Predator worked. It wasn't because it was all men, because there was a female involved in that group then. Mm-hmm. What worked was it was a specific little thing. They're trying to make it such a grand thing. It was a simple story. It was a hunt. And that's where the first Predator worked, as a hunt. Yeah. And that's where the Predator storylines work best, is as a hunt. If you want to mix in more story, you've got to go back to the original comic for Aliens versus Predator. And that was more about the Marines than it was the actual aliens and Predators.
Yeah.
So,
but in the first one though, it's also a strong story of masculinity. Every single character in there, and it was meant as satire, but it came out awesome. The director was trying, yeah, he was trying to make fun of this over the top machoism, but that's how, when men are together and no women are around, and that's how we act. We act stupid. We act that way.
Well, it goes against what a lot of women think men act like. They think we're
Right.
sitting around talking about, sexual stuff and naked women all day long. I mean, there's a little bit of that, and you have that as the jokes in some of the Predator stuff, but most of it is about who's got the bigger arm. I mean, come on, the first arm thing got Arnold and there's big arms. It's like, oh yeah, it's tough. But at the same time, though, what really made Predator work was, even you take away all that macho stuff, or even some of the talk of that, as they were going through stuff, they were highly trained individuals. They were a team that does this. They go in and they extract something out or destroy it. And they've come against the most formidable foe. So they have to go against them. So what made it work was, with the action and all that stuff, was the fact that some of these guys who had been around for a long time and had killed a lot were getting killed and getting picked off easily.
Well, and the other part too, along the lines of what you're saying, is they did a brilliant flip. Back then, Schwarzenegger was huge. Obviously muscular, but he was huge in Hollywood as an action star. So they did a surprise flip where Schwarzenegger was the underdog, where it's like, oh my God, he's not going to survive this. And he met a foe bigger than himself. Now it's done so much, it's lost its effect. Like Dwayne Johnson movies. It's like they've had it. They keep elevating it so much now the whole planet Earth is trying to kill him, and like the whole Earth is the earthquake one he did, or like they've run out of bad guys because they've done it too much.
Yeah,
and but back in the day, that was amazing, and it was like, wow, can Arnold get through this one?
Because you look at everything Arnold had done prior to that. He'd done Conan. He had done a bunch of these other type of movies. He was the Terminator. He played the bad guy basically in that. So to do, he did Commando. It was another one he was the tough military guy. He did a lot of those military style movies in that, and they were all these. I mean, a guy that big realistically would not be the military guy that they claimed he was, and most of that stuff, because he just wouldn't be able to handle some of the stuff. But there are some bigger guys. But yeah, to be able to fight the Terminator, that was like the best thing to happen. And realistically, the Terminator almost got him.
There's the original Predator suit. Van Damme was in the original Predator suit. So this was another brilliant move they did to make the movie better. Is they're like, this is not working. It just looks like a guy in a rubber suit running around.
Yeah.
So they hired Winston to.
Stan Winston is one of the best creature designers out there. So
and he designed it on an airplane. On an airplane flight, he was trying to think, how do you make this thing scary? And if I remember correctly, he saw a picture of something with mandibles, and he's just like, "Ooh, that's creepy." And then he's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna have mandibles," and then that kind of created the foundation that he worked around. But yeah, if there's video out there of Van Damme walking around in the suit, it was so bad. So thank God they scrapped.
Well, and at that time, Van Damme had already kind of been known a little bit, but they were probably trying to find a way to get him in. If you could say, Jean-Claude Van Damme as the Predator, and then you got Arnold. Right. At the time, they were both two big action stars they were hoping, but you didn't need them. I mean, everybody they had in it. I mean, you had Jesse the Body Ventura, who was great.
His lines are iconic in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, he really had the best lines and the best storytelling and things like that.
Yeah.
It's different things. It was everything else. But
really,
there's like the one guy. They had the Indian guy, and then the guy that was always trying to tell him.
Yep.
Get him to laugh.
The movie really was the original Bad Batch for Star Wars.
In a lot of ways, yeah. It was Bad Batch mixed with a little bit of
Rambo,
Rambo and stuff like that. So so I know I never read. I remember my Aunt Debbie had read this book, told me it was really good. And it's the tie-in novel to Predator. You can't find it anymore, I'm sure. At least this is a vintage one. They want like $65 for it, or there's another one for $107. So it's probably long out of print. So if you find one, covet it. And it's based on the screenplay, but the thing was that it actually just like different novelizations of screenplays, it goes deeper into the story. And a lot of it is actually stuff that they got from the person that wrote the screenplay or producers. Like, oh yeah, here's some backstory we didn't put into the movie, but you can put it into the novel.
Yeah,
explains on, but it mentions some like a little more stuff from that. But yeah, I mean, a movie like Predator works because of the fact that the basic story is, something's going on. They go in there. They're going to go find it. They think it's a militia group, and it turns out to be this alien, and that's what made it work. Since then, I mean, Predator 2 was kind of like, they expand on. I like expanding on the myth a little bit, but again, it was a city hunt, and it's like, nah, he would never gone there. Prey worked because it was like taking it back. Like, here's an early hunt, and they're just learning about the planet.
Prey was great. And that was a great female character in that one. The way they wrote it and how it was believable how everything unfolded.
Yeah.
Whereas the Olivia Munn one, she's like doing hand-to-hand combat with the biggest predator ever existing, and it's like, what? She's on it. It's like the thing would have flicked her off, no problem. Yeah. And she was an archaeologist who somehow knew how to use all military weapons.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It was The Predator from 2018. She went from being someone that didn't know anything. It was supposed to be this scientist to all of a sudden be a highly trained military, type female. It's like, no, you never would have been. That's what didn't work. It wasn't the fact it was a female character. It's because they write these female characters like that and then give them knowledge out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing.
I think what would have worked really well is Predator 2, they were trying something different. And I give them credit for trying it. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't great. Predator 3, they should have went back to Schwarzenegger. It was a very easy premise. Predators like the hunt for honor. It's their own personal code of honor. They could have seen Schwarzenegger. They could have known that he killed one of their own. So they saw him as this heightened level of prey, a heightened trophy to collect. And they could have, some predator or group of predators came searching for him for the ultimate trophy.
Right.
And that would have been a great storyline. And maybe years have passed, or maybe Schwarzenegger has a family now, so he's worried about protecting his family. It would have worked.
It's like this. The picture, there it is. It's like this one here. They did Predator 1. It was just Dark Horse Comics back in the early 89, 90. And they did basically a sequel to, someone find the one with the version of Schwarzenegger. It's not Schwarzenegger on the cover, but here we go. Predator. That's Predator 2. That's not it. Maybe it was the Concrete Jungle one. They've done a ton of comics since then.
But Concrete Jungle is just Predator 2, I thought.
Well, there is a separate Predator 2 comic.
Okay.
But they did one where it basically the storyline. Here we go. The series originally intended to feature the character of Alan Dutch Schaefer, now serving as a police officer. The character comic series will be changed to I saw maybe it was a little bit that, but they did one. It was more of a sequel to
the first one.
The actual movie, right. And it was either, I think it was like it was either supposed to be the Schwarzenegger version of the character or his brother from Marie, but it was more of a sequel, and that's where it was like the predators basically are hunting him. They realize he killed one of their own, and they want him. He's now the ultimate trophy,
right?
And stuff like that, and that's what they should have been doing, is that, and
it could have worked. It could have worked if they did a third one with him, and they could have tied Danny Glover into it too. Like if they did the police officer, because wasn't Danny Glover a police officer?
Yeah, he was a detective on a case basically.
So they could have merged them that way.
And then when he actually gets on the Predator ship, which was cool because you see some of the trophies, and one of them is an alien trophy. It's the spine and the head. So they were tying it into the Aliens franchise, though they're actually run by. There's a lot of finagling has to be done to actually do those movies originally because they weren't owned by the same studios.
They do keep trying to do Lethal Weapon 5. They could merge Predator 2 into Lethal Weapon 5, and it turns out it was.
Well, if they can do what I've read is the garbage of this last Bad Boys movie, they could do another Lethal Weapon. So I think it's Lethal Weapon 6. I think they did 5.
Oh yeah, whichever one is next. I know Mel Gibson recently talked about it, saying it's always in the works. Though they've talked about it.
There was 4. There was 4. And then supposedly to be announced is Lethal Finale, which would be great. They're both old. and he'd already be retired. Because
how old is Danny Glover now?
Danny Glover wasn't that old when the first one came out.
I know. He was 40 saying, I'm too old for this.
Yeah.
Let's see. Danny Glover age. He is
77.
Okay. Now he really can say he's too old for this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Mel Gibson is 68.
68. Okay.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. You get them both in retirement, and then you get one of the older villains that may be still alive coming after him. I mean,
yeah,
that'd be hilarious.
The high speed chases are all in little scooters going like 2 miles per hour.
Yeah. They should call it
With
lethal
a little
finale.
flag on it sticking
They
up.
need to do a lethal finale, but you need to have the Zuckers and Abrams from the Airplane movies write and direct the movie.
There you go. The chase, you see Mel Gibson pull out the little siren and stick it on the scooter.
What's funny is I was reading about his Mad Max 2. Someone talking about how good a film was. And original
was that the Thunderdome one?
No, the second one was the one most people know from the U.S. and they think it's just Mad Max. There's Mad Max and then Mad Max 2 Road Warrior or something like that, or was it Road Warrior then Mad Max 2? I forgot how they go. But they were talking about the car chases in that, and they don't realize that it looks like they're going super fast. They were going really slow. They had to speed up the camera and they had to act slower just to make it look. Because this is early camera tricks. They didn't have the special effects they do now. So, but yeah, I'd like to see another Lethal Weapon. I think that'd be fun. Something they just announced I am totally not excited about, and it's for two reasons. One is I tried to watch the garbage that was History of the World Part 2 on Hulu. That was just not funny. I turned it off after 20 minutes. I love Mel Brooks, but I don't think he's really involved in the writing. But they're doing a Spaceballs 2 starring Josh Gad. That's the other reason.
Yeah, I can't.
I just don't see that being good with him on that. I like him as a supporting character and stuff. Being a main character in this, I don't think will be good. He's probably going to play a version of Dark Helmet. The other problem is that
I heard he's going to be Barf.
Oh God, that's even worse. So, because John Candy was, I mean, I can see him physically as Barf, but it's in the works now. It's from Amazon, MGM. Mel Brooks is technically producing it. Josh Greenbaum will direct the film from a screenplay by Benji Samit, Dan Hernandez, and Josh Gad. So see, I just don't see it being good.
He annoys me after 10 minutes. So I don't know.
Yeah.
The other problem is he didn't change his voice for Olaf. So every time he talks, all I hear is Olaf.
Well, he can. I've seen clips of him from the Book of Mormon. He was good on what I could tell on that on stage, and he has a voice in that. But yeah, most of the stuff you see him in, his voice is he has no change in his voice. So it's all the same.
Right.
Yeah, here we go. It talks about here in 2020 he wrote and produced History Part 2 as a follow-up to Part 1. Everybody I saw in that, I was like, I don't think he did a lot of, it's like he handed ideas or whatever, and they tried to run with it. It just wasn't funny. History of the World Part 1 is a fantastic film, great comedy, but this other one felt like it was more sanitized because everybody's afraid of comedy anymore. So
right.
You just can't have comedy and be funny, without people being offended, and then it's not funny anymore. So.
And with someone like Josh Gad and his belief system, I can't imagine he's going to want to do something funny.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. It's
going to be agenda driven.
Spaceballs work because it was a great parody of Star Wars.
Yes.
And that's what made it work. And then the second part that really made it work, besides Mel Brooks and him writing it at that time, and is that the actors that got involved. You look at everybody that was in that; they were good actors. They were funny. It's all thing. I mean, John Candy was just a phenomenal actor, especially back then. And it's a shame he died when he did. He was way too young, and all that. But if you look at the bank of work he did from around 83 on, prior to that, he had a lot of the SET stuff. He did some other movies, but at 83 on really is when he really shined. From all the different movies he did, and that's when he got known as John. We got to know John Candy. He was one of the greatest dad characters in all the movies he did, and then he does stuff like Spaceballs, things like that. So I just don't see them capturing that level of acting they had then with who they're going to have now. And like I said, and part of it is for Josh Gad is when I see him in interviews, he's a very flat individual. I just don't, when he talks about stuff, he almost. I see a lot with the Disney stuff. He doesn't come across as a compelling person, and that stuff. So, as a secondary backup character with other better actors, I think he can do well. But I think he's going to try to make himself shine out a lot more than the character should, especially if he's going to be Barf. So
yeah.
or Bartholomew.
Bartholomew.
Barf, what's your full name? Bartholomew. I love Spaceballs. Spaceballs was great. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see on that. I mean, here's someone else on a movie, so that, and I'll tell you this though, and so my segue to Inside Out too. There's been just so much crap coming out. I just don't want to go to the theaters half the time anymore. But I did go last night. Did see Inside Out 2. And if you like the first one, you're really going to like this one. I thought it was a great continuation.
Good.
They didn't veer from anything. You've got the motion. The catalyst is, Riley is hitting puberty. They don't get into like details of what puberty is. They're not doing like, oh, she's gotten her period or anything like that. This is strictly the change you see in a teenager, from 12, 13, 14. And it's about the emotional side of stuff. So that's where all these new emotions come in. And it takes place over a 3-day weekend at hockey camp because she's a big hockey player. And they set that up in the first film and that stuff. Great characters. The one right up here, that's Anxiety. Anxiety is kind of the main one. These are all the new ones. There's Bashfulness. This one is no, it's like a shy.
Depression?
No, it's like a shy type. I don't care type person. I teach you whatever.
Oh, like an emo type personality.
Think about Ashley at Universal when we took her to Universal. With you, she was like, whatever, Dad. Yeah. And when you're around, she was like,
yeah, the teenage.
Yeah,
I don't care. Yeah, whatever that emotion is.
Right, and they have it as a French accented character, which is hilarious because it also just shows it laying. It's an anxiety, envy. That's what it is. And then as the smaller one here, that's this one here, envy, and then ennui is the other one, and it's basically the French like whatever, I don't care. Is the best way to put it.
In the upper right,
that is embarrassment. And embarrassment is great because he has a hoodie on. So whenever he gets embarrassed, he goes, he sees a little nose, and then he bends over and he's got plumber crack.
Oh, that's funny.
So, but yeah, so ennui is basically the just definition is apathetic indifference, and it's constantly on her cell phone, and she can control the board from an app on her cell phone, all inside this girl's head. So
right,
it's definitely, I enjoyed the whole thing straight through. I like the writing, the comedy. Pete Docter's one did it. He does a great story. It's the best Pixar movie I've seen in a few years. For overall story quality. There was no agenda driven.
Better than the first?
No, I looked at it as equal.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is it's, for me, it's really rare to have a sequel be better than the first. I think though, when I said before, is sequels that I would feel are better are only better because the first one was good enough to propel them into the second one. You look at Star Wars: New Hope into Empire. Empire, is a lot of people's favorites. It's one of my favorites. I love it. But Empire wouldn't be Empire without Star Wars that led into it and set up what we needed there. Inside Out 2 set up enough. But the nice thing about this one is it does stand on its own because they give you basically here's where we're at now, and explains where they've been since the last movie, explaining who the emotions are and how things have changed and stuff like that.
Well, the interesting thing too with this, because it's based on emotions inside this person, you could really do multiple sequels and use this as a study of the different phases of life. Like this is now a teenager, just like when she is 21, maybe she'll have different emotions or.
Well, and they've kind of set up that possibility they could do that. Nice. And one of the things they show is there's like every once in a while, a couple of times, you have an old woman looking emotion come out from this little side door. Oh, I remember when. It's basically remembering way back. Yeah, you're not due to enjoy. Yeah, you come back in about 10, 12 years. That's about when you're due to start showing up.
What is that? Like reminiscing.
Yeah, basically, it's I think it's what they call it. It was reminiscence or something like that. But it's like that's the whole like when kids say, "Oh, back in the day, you're 8." There was no back in the day. You're still in the day.
Ashley used to always say, "I remember when I was 3." She was like 6.
Yeah,
but for her, that was a half of a lifetime ago when she was 6.
Oh yeah, so it's but it was good. It's a similar story in the head. it's different with the anxiety and stuff like that. But there's a journey that has to happen, like in the first one, where about getting a memory and stuff like that.
Do they ever show the emotions of other people that the character's interacting with, or is it purely 100% in her head?
No, they'll pop into like mom's head, dad's head,
Okay.
a couple times. So, and you see the differences. Like the dad one is like the typical dad, especially at the end. It's like, like, okay, whatever, we're just dad, and then you get the mom dealing with some of the emotions and like her anxiety comes out with this. And there's like when she hits puberty, it's literally an overnight thing. She goes to bed, puberty hits overnight, and then she wakes up and she's like that attitude, that teen attitude, like, oh, will you just leave me alone, mom? And she smells, and she can smell, she needs deodorant now, and little things like that. So they didn't get too detail, but the way they did it added a great blend of humor with the story, and that without getting too, and that's what I liked about it. It was, like I said, it's a puberty story without being graphic. At all, and it really dealt with just the emotional side. And I'd like to see him do more with this. I mean, definitely they could come back and do one where she's like going to be graduating high school. This one, she's going from junior high to high school the next year. She wants to be on the hockey team. The things she goes through, where she finds out her two best friends are going to a different high school than her, for wherever they're at. Where they live, they go and go somewhere else. They went to the same elementary school without being split up in high school, and so that affects the whole thing that happens over this weekend thing, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you see teams that are structured like that, they have issues that come up like that. And but definitely, I wouldn't mind seeing as they go a little older, see what changes. But this is also something that they want to explore. They've done this from the female side. They could go explore from the male side. What's going to be different. And they work with, because they're crediting the credits, actual psychologists about these motions and issues and things like that. So I think it's fun. I would definitely recommend it. It was a packed theater. It was sold out.
Nice.
It did 155 million over the weekend. So it was a huge.
Wow. Even
weekend.
like Godzilla, were they like 80 million or something? I don't
Something
think
like
anyone's
that.
broke 100 million in a while.
No, it's been quite a while since something like that. But it did 154 million.
Nice.
Bad Boys Ride or Die dropped down to 30 something million, but it opened at 56. So this opened at like 100 million more than Bad Boys Ride or Die. Of course, the reviews I've read in Ride or Die say it just sucks. There was a African American guy who posted on it. He goes, I wanted to leave after 10 minutes and I stayed an hour. And it's just not good. Excuse me.
Yeah. I like even the second one. I really liked Martin Lawrence in the second one.
The second one was a good ending to that. And personally, I think they should have done, if they both want to do something together, don't do another Bad Boys. Do something different. And for everything I've seen on Martin Lawrence, he looks like physically he really can't get around that well. So that might be some of the issues with the movie too, is the way they had to edit around things.
Yeah, he did have a health issue, didn't he?
He's had a couple of them over the years.
Yeah.
So, but I know this came out because of the slap. I'm sure, day after Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, Martin Lawrence called him and said, "Hey, nobody likes you. Let's make another Bad Boys."
All right.
So, but Inside Out 2 right now is 334 million worldwide. And I can see that from the theaters. The theater, of course, was packed yesterday for, I think, two reasons. It was a $5 / free popcorn Tuesday at Imagine, and it's summer break now. And you now have a family movie that just hit. So all the families were there. In fact, there was a group, I think, of about 25 that were there for a birthday party that came in as the movie was starting. So, but definitely, if you liked those movies, go see it. But even the money, if you look at the breakdown, Friday it did 63 million, 51 million on Saturday, and 39 million on Sunday, which was Father's Day, by the way. So that was not a bad drop. Monday was 22 million. It's not a holiday Monday, so it still did 22 million. It's a 43% drop from Friday. So that's actually really good. So the average per screen is good on that.
Yeah.
And they don't have the Tuesday numbers up yet either. Or any preview day stuff. I don't know if they did. I'm sure they did a Thursday night preview. I don't see the listing for that here though on Box Office Mojo.
Yeah.
But definitely, I enjoyed it a lot. We had a good time with a friend of mine. She really liked it, and we both agreed. It basically felt, from the first one to the second one, really good. I like that they're not trying to get too heavy. It's even like the Red Panda one that came out a couple years ago. I think that was Disney though. and basically it's about the girl hitting puberty and basically getting her period, but when she becomes a giant red panda,
the red or
turning red. Yeah,
turning
that
red.
came out in 22. And that one, I like that one too. I thought that was fun. It was an interesting way of taking on stuff like that. And it was a neat story on that. And I like that they're not trying to be. They're dealing with some of these issues, not be graphic. They don't need to be. They can deal with some of these emotional issues and changes and stuff like that without being this graphic thing. You can leave that for rated R movies or PG-13 movies, but the kids movies don't need to be that hardcore. Now they did have a trailer for the new Pharrell movie. Have you seen that?
Pharrell?
Yeah, the
singer.
Yeah, they're basically they're telling his life story, but they're doing it as Legos.
Oh,
so it's an animated Lego movie of Pharrell. It actually looks like it's going to work because they can be kind of goofy with it.
Interesting.
Tell his story. I mean, about when he was younger and everything else, and
not the crossover I was expecting.
No, I have to see if I can find it here. In that, but let me see. But I liked it. The trailer was good. I was surprised. It was.
While you're looking that up, the movie that's I'm seeing getting skewered is that Watchers. They're saying it's horrible, and boring, and the one that M. Night Shyamalan's daughter?
Oh, okay.
With Dakota Fanning in it.
Yeah,
that was getting skewered by people who saw it.
Yeah. Well, I just, I wonder where some of this stuff, it's.
But here we are, mid-June. I pull up the local theater here.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, you got Bad Boys. No one cares about Will Smith there anymore. You got some smaller stories, which I'm interested in, but they're Christian-based movies, which usually Christian-based movies don't have a platform in mid-June. But you got The Sound of Hope. Then you got If. Did anybody see If? It's still out.
I've had a couple friends see that, and they liked it.
Yeah. Then you got
I still want to see it. I still want to see it. Just having time.
Yeah.
And
they're playing Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, yeah, they do. That's the Fandango flashback. They did that Sunday, and they do that today, Wednesday. So it's not a release.
Usually, this time of year, it's like blockbuster after blockbuster.
Well, yeah. They just ain't got nothing.
Inside Out is the only blockbuster, really.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem. We've talked about this before. Is there's not much coming out. Garfield movie came out a couple weeks ago. It's not a blockbuster. Not doing it. But again, there's been how many Garfield movies now? It's overdone. Nobody cares.
Well, and does anyone even know who Garfield is anymore?
Well, and that's the whole thing. I mean, it's the kids nowadays. You don't have a cartoon. They don't read comic strips.
Right.
I liked Garfield back in the day. Read them all the time.
I read them every Sunday. I looked forward to reading Garfield.
I read them every day and newspapers and everything else. I bought some of the trades when I was a kid, the collections, and they had a cartoon in the 80s and into 90s that was actually pretty good.
Yep.
But yeah, for Raiders, that's a Fandango thing where they do let's show it on Sunday and Wednesdays. So that's all that is. But they do that with the Fandango release all the time. But it's okay, here's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is showing today. They're doing that today as well. That Strangers Chapter 1, who cares? It's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I kind of want to see it, but at the same time, don't know if I want to go spend time in the theater to watch it.
But that Strangers and The Watchers, wouldn't that normally be a fall movie?
That's where, they're doing horror all the time anymore. But some of these movies, I'm thinking, okay, you need to look at what's coming out. And if there's nothing coming out towards the fall that's a horror movie, you should release it then. You'll make your money because people want to see horror movies in September, October.
Right.
But they're not. They're releasing them in summer here, thinking, "Oh, we'll catch the summer movie audience." No, it's they're not. They're not in that mode. The ones that loved us September, October, all they're doing in the summer now is going, "I can't wait for pumpkin season."
Pumpkin latte.
I want pumpkin spice season come around. It's too hot. I don't want to think about that now. I can't tell how many stupid posts I've seen on that. I want pumpkin season. Nobody like pumpkin season.
It's not even pumpkin.
Yeah.
People, there's a conspiracy. It's actually squash. Pumpkin pie, all that. It's squash.
Yeah, wow.
No pumpkin in it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's not a lot out there, for.
Yeah, it's so depressing to me. It's I love going to movies, and I'm there's nothing.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's nothing's really jumping out there. It's. Let me see here. What's this? So coming out this week is Ghostlight, unknown title. It says wide. What the hell is that?
What?
Bunch of limited stuff. Oh, this would look good. I haven't seen the trailer for it. I need to look this up. The Exorcism with Russell Crowe. And I'm thinking, okay, is that a sequel to? I just saw the poster for it yesterday. It's the first I've heard of this, so I need to find that one too.
But even that wouldn't that normally be a fall movie?
You would think so, yeah.
Like there's nothing coming out, so like all these movies are coming out now.
Well, and again, it's probably because that's what they got here. So I'm trying to see if this is a sequel to the movie that Russell Crowe did. Where he played the priest.
Now this is about it's about a troubled actor who begins to unravel while shooting a supernatural horror film.
I hadn't seen anything on it, so I saw the poster thinking, okay, is this going to be like the sequel to the Pope's Exorcist? And it's called The Exorcism. I'm like, oh.
So basically
he's playing a different character, so it's not the same priest.
Basically, they're taking the premise of like movies like The Exorcist, where it's believed the movie was cursed and something happened. Now they turned that into a Hollywood movie to say like, okay, he's getting possessed because he's doing a horror movie, and the film is haunted.
Yeah,
but interesting.
Yeah, I only saw the poster, and you know what movie I'm talking about? He did the Pope's Exorcist came out last year. Did you see that?
I did not. I want to see it. I just haven't.
It was so good.
I gotta find where it is on streaming.
And it's based on, and it's fictional, but it's based on a real priest that was Pope's Exorcist.
Yep.
And it was great. And I liked his accent he had. The characterization of him was really great. I saw this post like, actually, I hope that's a sequel to that. No,
another great one.
No, I'm seeing it's not. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can see it. So
another really great one is the one Anthony Hopkins did. The Rite, I think it was RITE. Is that what it was?
Yes,
called?
That was a good one. Yeah,
that was really well done. And he was a priest that got possessed. He was an exorcist who became possessed. But that was well done too.
Okay, so Ghostlight that's coming out this week. It's gonna be an artsy fartsy one. It's a construction worker joins a local theater production of Romeo and Juliet, and if you know stage lore, the Ghostlight's the light they leave out to kind of ward off evil spirits on the stage when they're not there. Yeah, that one doesn't appeal right away either. The Bike Riders comes out. This doesn't look too bad. It feels like a 60s B movie you'd see in the drive-in. Basically, it's about a Midwestern motorcycle club called the Vandals. So it's kind of that.
I feel like it's the Sons of Anarchy meets the Outsiders.
Yeah, so essentially, it's what it is.
Yeah.
But it feels like the motorcycle movies you would have saw in the drive-in back in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Stuff like that. So I have feelings like that. They're re-releasing the South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, Louder. It's a 25th anniversary release. I heard about that recently. Next week, The Quiet Place Day 1 comes out. Not excited about that at all.
That's going to bomb.
Yeah. It's stupid. We're going to go back and tell this story again, but make it a little longer. It's like, I don't need it. I don't need to know because you've already explained it all. A lot of limited releases, and limited releases, are I think most of the time going to be stuff that will come out full release later, somewhere like the Horizon Saga, and then others they're releasing them limited just so they can consider for award season, and then they'll end up streaming somewhere. Now the Costner Horizon, I kind of want to see that, but I did see an interview with him. He's got 4 movies planned in that saga.
Really?
Yeah, so the first 2 are coming out this year, and he's still raising money for the second 2. He paid for the first 2. I think what he's waiting for is box office returns on the first 2 to go and complete them.
I mean, Westerns don't traditionally bring... I don't know if a Western could support a 4-movie deal.
Well, he did. He put $35 million into it. So being that he's producing it himself, stuff like that, I'm sure he got everybody on a lower price. And then if it does a couple $100 million overall in the release for each saga, it'll make money.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's waiting on there too. And then Despicable Me 4 comes out July 3rd. I like those movies. Those are fun.
So really nothing really.
Yeah, July 4th itself is a lot of limited stuff. Then that Friday, July 5th, there's some crime horror called Maxine.
But like 4th of July was always like the weekend.
Yeah, there's like nothing coming out. The biggest movie is going to be the Despicable Me movie.
Will Smith used to own 4th of July. There was like 5 years in a row or something where he had like this insane.
Well, yeah. Well, when he got away from doing movies that people wanted to be entertained with to trying to win an Oscar, that's all he did. He won his Oscar, but of course he tainted it by the slap. But he was doing like 7. It was a 7 pieces or whatever, or the 7 or whatever, and then he did 8 pounds, and then there was the Pursuit of Happiness, stuff like that. I'm not saying that all those were bad movies, but they're not entertaining movies that people want to go see multiple times in the theater. Independence Day, you want to go see a bunch of times. The original Bad Boy movies, you wanted to go see them a couple times. You enjoyed them; they were fun, and that stuff like that. When you get away from that, they're not fun anymore, and stuff like that.
The downfall of his career started when he did Earth 2.
Well, it's because he was barely in it, and he was trying to.
It was a bait and switch. Yeah, his son was really the star, but they tried to make us think it was a Will Smith movie, and it's like nobody wants to see his son.
Yeah. Now the next Bix movie coming out is going to be that Twisters. I think it's going to suck.
That's going to bomb.
But they did do something here. Let me find this real quick. And they're doing this, and this will be the first movie to get it. But the MGR Theater in Waterford is getting the first 270-degree Screen X this summer, and that'll be the first movie shown on it. I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of it.
270. So it's like this big, almost
it surrounds you, yeah.
Is it indoor or outdoor?
It's indoor.
Indoor.
Here we go. I'll share this one here. Couldn't ask about cookies. So it's got chocolate chip. I don't want them. So that's basically it right there. That's how you can see. So you got the main. Oh, you turn stupid. Leave it there. There we go.
Weird.
Yeah. So there's what it is they're shooting it to where you see that. So the main screen there, center is going to have it. Then the side stuff will have more stuff. So they're shooting with like a 3 camera thing, kind of like this. So you get your main cameras that when they focus on for the main part of the story, everything else is side stuff. They have to keep that in thought too for the projection on that.
You really got to keep the background actors way on the side.
And that's what it's designed for. Here's a shot of kind of what you're seeing there. I think a lot of it's going to be garbage. I mean,
I feel like it'd be very annoying though. Like I feel like it needs to be a curved screen. Like having those beams seem weird.
If it done like the original CinemaScope that was 70 millimeter back in the 50s and all that stuff, it was a curved screen. So it was like this is when you looked at it from the top down. And that's what made it kind of work. It's kind of like, it's just like my monitor here is a curved. And if going back around, if they'd done that full curve around, and now the problem is they're projecting it differently. It's actually being broadcast on the sides. So there'll be times those screens probably aren't going to be used at all, but in that, it was, it's not necessarily a new concept. This goes back over 100 years. Oh gosh, what is that? Birth of a Nation. The final, let's see if we can find something on that. This was a big deal back in the day. Trying to see if I can find a cool shot of it. And this is of course, not going to have anything. But basically, what Birth of a Nation did was, you had to remember back, of course, in early movies. This is silent era, so this is like 1916, 17. You had the square screen. What we do is basically a TV screen. Right. And what they did was they would fire up 2 more projectors for the last scene, and it caused the screen to go like that. So they actually shot it through the things. They did that a bunch of times since then. I mean, they did that in some of the, like How the West Was Won was done that way in the 50s and that. So this is not a new concept. The way they're going about it's a little different, but basically allowed them to have all these different wider stuff. So if you watch like How the West Was Won from was it 50s, early 60s, most of what we see is kind of here, but there's actually a lot more on the sides here that they had also shot too, by having the 3 cameras kind of like this to cover, your main shot and then the side stuff there too. So it was all meant to be immersive in that aspect of that. I know what they're doing here. They're trying to get people to go back to the theater and enjoy stuff like that. And it's the problem is I don't think it's the presentation. It's just garbage films.
Well, they're also coming up with new thing because of digital projectors. You're getting more live events at theaters and, like the concerts and stuff. So utilizing that kind of a format for a live action thing would be pretty amazing. Like, you know how Taylor Swift was doing the theater tour,
right?
To have that expansive thing, you probably would feel like you're actually there,
and that would work for that. For sporting events, for concerts like that. I mean, it would be. I mean, there's people that would pay, $35-$40 to go sit in the theater and watch a live Taylor Swift concert, or more. They can't be there, but they're all there together, so they have you have that collective audience feel, and then you get the whole thing around you almost. It'd be
you would feel like you're in the arena.
Yeah.
So that would be really cool. So I could see them utilizing it more for those kind of things too.
Yeah. So let me share this, and then we'll end the show here real quick. This is that Pharrell video here. Piece by piece, it's called. So here we go.
Go ahead on the set.
Hey, Pharrell.
Hey, how you doing, man? You know, it'd be cool is if we told my story with Lego pieces.
Seriously?
Yes.
Lego.
Just be open.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
When I was a kid, I knew I was different. And people would say, oh, that's an odd child. And that crushed my spirit. But I loved music. It was mesmerizing to me. I would see beautiful hues of light cascading. I just thought that's what all black kids did, stared into the speaker like, whoa.
She's up all night to the sun.
Music was just coming out of me. I need to show the world what I can do.
Pharrell, I need help on this rap.
Yes, sir. It's pretty simple. Just let it bounce.
He just went in the room and freestyled it.
It's Teddy. Ready with the 1-2 check.
All I cared about was making my own music. But people just said,
no.
I wasn't ready.
You can't be me. I'm a rock star.
This song is ridiculous.
Who did that?
Pharrell.
Wow.
My imagination would run super wild.
Dun, 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 dun. Drop it like it's hot.
I was always a bad gangster, but you brought out a smile.
Hell yeah.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
That feels great.
Clap along if
I firmly believe that everybody has talent, beauty, and potential.
Keep open our eyes to a whole different perspective.
Thank you, clap along if you know what happiness is to you.
Woo! Holy moly, guacamole. Legendary story, yeah?
Wow.
Man, this is gonna be a Lego movie, bruh.
Yeah, I think it looks
different.
Yeah, I think it's different. I think it's a story that if they told it live action, it would just be like, oh, okay, nobody's gonna care. He liked music, stuff like that. It's kind of been told a million times. Doing it as a Lego and throwing all this crazy stuff around it, I think it's gonna be similar, not exactly the same, of course, but similar to how they did like Rocket Man. They told Elton John's story, but they embellished other stuff around it to give you this fantastical story with it. Made it a musical where this one's gonna be the Lego stuff. So.
Very
but
cool.
I thought it looked pretty good. I was surprised. I was surprised that they actually looked decent, because the concept, when you hear about it, Pharrell's life story is Lego, who cares,
Yeah, it sounds odd, but it looks good in the trailer.
Yeah, so not bad. So we'll have to see on that. But other than that, that's what I got this week, man.
All right. Same here.
All right, so we'll talk to you guys next week. So I'll tell you what not to watch on the Acolyte and everything else, and we'll see. We have
Brett's taking
fun.
one for the team.
I'm taking one for the team. So don't watch it. I'll tell you all about it and what you missed, because it's like a 5-minute recap, and that's more time than I really need.
Right.
We'll see y'all next week.
Take care.